Everyone thinks on birthdays. Oh, that's funny. So I just went out talking. Have a dog. I was doing stuff, remember? You only wrote your name? It said birthdays like huge at the top. I didn't do it to you. You only wrote your name on it. I don't know.
5 more of those stand-up things upstairs. We haven't put them together yet. So if you're needing one, let us know. So what's in a name? Physician assistant, physician associate. In the early days, it was physicians, apostrophe S. It was the possessive form. We got rid of that back in the mid-'80s. Anytime that it's still around, that's what they still call us here on this campus. Whenever you see that, tell them, get rid of the apostrophe S. Don't belong to anybody. It's not possessive. It's physician, singular. Physician assistant. Years ago, back in the 70s, there was a push to name the profession physician associate. And most PA programs were physician associate programs. Over the years, they all abandoned that and became physician assistant programs. The only remaining physician associate program is at OU. It's a historical type thing. There's no real reason for it. Although, about every other year at the AAPA conference, there's a loud vocal group of PAs that want us to change the whole name of our profession to physician associate. And that usually gets shot down in the House of Delegates, because if you do that, you have to change all the state laws that refer to physician assistants and everything else. So the name is probably too ingrained to change at this point. Although most of us just prefer the acronym PA and don't use physician assistant. You are by no means, back when I was in school, that's what you did. You were a physician assistant. You were an assistant to the physician. Now, it's just not that way anymore. I mean, if you go to Integris Hospital to get a liver biopsy, it's going to be done by a PA. There's not going to be a physician around. Where were you a physician assistant? I haven't worked in the same building with a physician since I can remember. I don't even know where my physician for a while was in the Ukraine, and I didn't even know it.
Do you have recommendations on how to explain that to patients? I know I've been with kids before, and someone asks them what they are, I think physician assistant, and then there's confusion.
I would just go back to, because as a medical assistant, are you going to get your LPN? When are you going to get your RN? No, I'm not a medical assistant, I'm a physician assistant. I'd say I'm a PA. I was trained in the College of Medicine. I'm trained in the practice of medicine. That's what we're doing today. So, I don't know where it's going to end up. If you go to the national conference, you're going to see that argument about physician assistant, physician associate. You'll see it. Supervision versus independence. Nurse practitioners are fiercely fighting for independence from physicians. And as PAs, we always had the philosophy that we work under the physician's supervision, that we're partners and we practice team-based medicine. But that's changing. Now there's a move in the PA profession for independence, to get rid of that physician supervision. Make it more of a collaborative thing, not supervision. And you're gonna be dealing with that over the next few years. You know, you stop to think about it, that's the reality of it. It's the reality of it. Just, that's gonna be a huge fight though with state and medical associations. I can tell you that now. Degree inflation. Why do you get a master's degree? You know, at OU, when I was over there, the PAs and the medical students and dental students were taking anatomy. It was the same course. You took the same exam. Why did you get master's level credit before 1997? You got a bachelor's level credit. Yet these guys were getting doctoral level credit for the same damn course. Why is that? Why is this profession or this curriculum not doctoral level? I can tell you, it is on that level. Well, there are many arguments for and against it. Against it is, well, if we're going to give you a doctoral degree, we're going to have to increase the length of the program. We're going to have to do something to make it different than a master's. Well, it's already 2.5 years. If I make it 3 years, why would you want to go be a PA when if you can just spend a few more months and you can go get a medical degree? So that's one argument against it. The other is, who cares what the degree is? It's not the piece of paper. It's what you do and the confidence at which you do it. That doesn't hold water when you're trying to convince legislators who are more impressed by this doctorate of nursing practice. Yet you have a master's degree, yet they've never dissected a cadaver. They've never taken physiology. They've never taken pharmacology. Or the pharmacology that they've taken is so watered down, they couldn't tell you a lactam from a macrolide. So there's been a lot of degree inflation over the last 15 years. Everybody that graduated from pharmacy school used to be an RPH, registered pharmacist. The profession decided that the entry-level degree for pharmacists was going to be a PharmD. So overnight, they changed it. So now they changed the curriculum, changed the whole curriculum. So now instead of a 3-year program, it's a 5-year program. Now you're going to get a PharmD. But what they did was they grandfathered all these RPHs. So now they're Dr. So-and-so with an RPH. Speech therapist, physical therapist. They've all gone to doctoral level as the entry-level, audiologist as the entry-level degree. It's degree inflation. That's all it is. There's nothing behind it. They won't say that, but that's bottom line what it is. The one issue I have about nurse practitioners is online trained DNPs. Every freaking RN in the state is taking an online nurse practitioner course through St. Louis, California, one of the dozens of programs. They spend, I've looked into them, their curriculum. Their curriculum is horrendous. When they get to the clinical rotations, they have to find their own rotation site, by the way. They have to find their own preceptor. Some programs require as little as 500 hours of clinical contact to get your DNP degree. 500 hours. You're going to get 500 hours. 500 hours at 40 hours a week is 3 months. 3.5 months. 3.5 months. You're going to spend 16 months, and they can do it 3.5 months. You think they know what they're doing when they get out? No, they don't. So I don't have any problem about I said it earlier, a well-trained nurse practitioner. I have problems about these people. And as a matter of fact, the nurse practitioner program, the director of the nurse practitioner called me just before Christmas and said, "Damn, what are we going to do about all these DNP programs? It's killing them too, because people aren't going to their schools and they're getting their jobs and they're taking their rotation sites." So it's just not good. But they're here to, I don't see anything that, gonna be done to stop them, other than physicians need to quit hiring them. It's the only thing that's gonna stop this. 85% in the reimbursement fight continues. Medicare decided years ago, back in the probably 80s, early 80s, late 70s, early 80s, that they would reimburse PAs and nurse practitioners for seeing Medicare patients. But they would only do it at the rate of 85% of the physicians allowed. So if the doctor was going to be reimbursed $100, you would only be getting 85. Nurse practitioners too. That's the way it started out, and that's the way it still is.
So if they only get like 50% reimbursed, you get 85 of their 50?
Correct. So it's, unfortunately, a lot of private carriers follow Medicare. So Blue Cross Blue Shield now is at 85%. This is insane policy. You don't put 85% of the sutures in, you don't get the systolic blood pressure 85% of the way down to goal. You're doing the exact same thing. You should be reimbursed at the exact same rate. But we're not going to win that argument, even with the nurse practitioners. Reimbursement is a hassle for everybody, physicians, PAs, everybody. They're always fighting the insurance companies. Fight between physician and non-physician providers. The physicians, you know, because PAs got all of these privileges that nurse practitioners have, and optometrists could do laser stuff on the eye, and all of this stuff. The pharmacists could do all of this stuff with drugs, and the physicians started fighting back. Probably in the 90s, late 90s, they started fighting back. So every time you go to the Capitol to try to get a change in the scope of practice, you will have to fight the physician organizations. They resist any increase in the scope of practice of anybody but physicians. So it's a way it's been, it's just the way it is. And that's okay, because most of the time we win. You saw that long list of wins we had. So, you just have to have a better liar than the other person, that's all. The entrepreneurial PA, this is interesting. Probably up until about 2005, there was only one PA in the state that owned her own practice. Only one. And it was in a rural area, and it was really a partnership with her and the physician. Now there are tons of PAs in the state that own their own practice. Some of them are doing, well, most of them are doing very, very well. Several of them are rotation sites where you're going to wind up next year. You know, and that's one of the reasons we have the business courses in the clinical year. If you're going to run your own practice, you better know what you're doing. And that's a good way to do things. A woman and her husband and her brother opened up a new clinic down at Ardmore, rotation site for us. They're doing very well. Nice clinic, nice practice. A couple of guys opened up a practice over on Douglas Boulevard, Midwest City. Opened their second practice in Ardmore. Very well. Doing very well. So, you know, if that's your goal, it's possible now. We used to have to fight physicians because we could not employ a physician. That was in our law. You could not employ a physician. Meaning you couldn't own your own practice. Oh, but gosh. Nobody owns their own practice. The LLC owns the practice. Nobody owns an LLC. the LLC pays the physician, not you. So there's a way around it, an easy way around it. And nobody's gonna change business law to go after this. Hospitals doing, PA's doing hospital consults. This happens all the time now, where you go, let's say you're working for a cardiologist, a nephrologist, a urologist. Oftentimes now, the PA, and if you've got inpatients, you know, these family docs have admitted some patients, and they need a urology consult or cardiology consult, you will go do the consult. You are the specialist doing the consult. That's standard now. It used to be exceptionally rare, now it's standard. I talked about credentialing of PAs by hospital insurance companies. You know, it used to be great when we were not credentialed by insurance companies. We would just bill under the supervising physician. You get 100% reimbursement. But now, because the insurance companies didn't want to credential us, because they'd have to redo all their computers to make that happen. Well, now they figured out they can save that 15% if they know who you are. So now, most places will credential PAs. So that's why, even though you're not required to maintain your certification, your C, over 90% of the PAs in this state still do, because you can't get credentialed at a hospital or insurance company unless you're certified. So you're stuck.
Can't you still submit them under the supervising physician's name? Or is that insurance fraud?
No, they're gonna bill under your name, because you are the one credentialed with that company now. So, PAs in non-traditional roles, this is what I love to see. This is what I love to see. This is where what we need to do more of. We need more PAs in hospital administration. We need more PAs going on to get their JD and practicing medical legal law. We need a PA in the legislature. You got physicians in the legislature. You have nurses in the legislature. You need PAs in the legislature. It hasn't happened here in Oklahoma. It did happen in California. A woman wound up being the Speaker of the House of Representatives in California and wound up being elected to Congress. So there's a PA in Congress now. There's also a PA on the White House staff and a lot of other things going on with PAs in non-traditional roles. As a profession, what is our future? Man, I see nothing but good things. We're all getting older. It's too expensive to train a physician. What you do is the same as or better than what a physician does. And that's plenty of studies are out there to document that. I wish you were all graduating tomorrow, because I have so many jobs in this state that I don't have people to occupy them. So most of you will probably have a job before you graduate, if you want one. You know, we already have one of our second-year students who's already signed a contract. Go to work. She doesn't even graduate till May. So, so that's, a lot of the people that you rotate with will say, hey, I want you coming back here. So real quick about how we came to be here. I think that's all I have to say. Are there any other questions that I can? All right, so how we came to be here. So I was at OU for 25 years. And OU is this huge bureaucracy. It's playing in the NFL, and it's horrible. You're always fighting somebody. You go to bed mad, you wake up mad. And you can retire when your age plus the years of service at OU equals 80. When my age plus years of service at OU equaled 80.000, I got out of there. But I did not want to leave PA education. like what I do. The state needs more PAs, so I looked around at every university in the state to start a new PA program. And I saw OCU here. I'd never even been on this campus, didn't know anything about this program, this school when I started looking, but I saw that, well, they've got a nursing school that grants a doctoral degree. They've got a law school that grant, you know, the JD. They've got a business school with all these MBAs, CPAs and stuff like that. Yeah, they're familiar with the graduate programs, even though they're not a medical school. I think this is the place I would want to put a PA program. So I was looking through the list of trustees for this program, and Jerry Vanetta was a trustee, Dr. Vanetta. Dr. Vanetta used to be the dean of the College of Medicine over there back in the 90s. So he was my dean back in the 90s. So I called him up. I hadn't talked to him in years. I probably hadn't talked to him in 10 years. I mean, he knew who I was, and I knew, you know. I said, I have a proposition for you. Can we sit down and talk about it? So he said, well, how about I meet you at the Bricktown IHOP? 7 a.m., I think it was on April 4th, 2013. So I met him down there, and I had been going out doing these for institutions in the country that wanted to start a PA program. A team of us would go and we would meet with their university officials and go over what it takes to start a PA program. Well, I had all that data, you know, and I had the data from being a program director for 20 years. 5 years at OU, I was not the program director. That's the difference between 25 years and 20 years. I just meant, okay? Anyway, I took this spreadsheet to him and I said, here, I think we can start a PA program at OCU. And it'll be self-sufficient. It won't cost the university. I mean, it's going to cost an initial investment. You're going to get your money back, and you're going to make a little money over time, and it'll be a good thing for the university. Because we don't have that many PA opportunities here in the state. So he liked the idea. He took it up the food chain here on campus, and I came out here and met with the president and his cabinet and all this kind of stuff a couple of times. So this was in April when I met with Vanetta. They hired me here. My last day at OU was July 23rd. I mean, July 31st. They hired me here August 1st. So between April and August, they decided they were going to create a PA program. So their initial investment was $1 million. You know, salaries and supplies and all this kind of stuff. So for between August and December, I was paid $1 a month. I was working over at the free clinic. I wanted to do that. I wanted to work over at the free clinic full time. So I was making $1 a month here so I could start getting the accreditation process because I was actually an employee at $1 a month. Okay. I didn't start here full time until January of 2014. January 2014. So Amber and I were the first two people here. And so over the next couple of years, we've had faculty changes, we've had staff changes. This is typical in any academic setting, no big deal. It'll probably happen while you're here. Who knows? I hope not, but who knows? So between January 1st and 2014, going through the accreditation process, we started the first class January 3rd, 2016. So it took essentially 2.5 years to get the program off the ground. Okay? So Vanetta, I know. How about these other people? I've been working with Amber Hicks. She just turned 40. When I hired her initially, she was not legally able to drink. That's how long we've been together. Not that she didn't drink. Matter of fact, I'm going to tell you something on her. She would come to work so hungover, one of the other faculty members would go downstairs and get an IV bag and hang it from the ceiling. And she shuts the door to her office. She would run an IV in her during the day, and I didn't know anything about it. So she doesn't drink that much anymore, except when we're on vacation and stuff. You know, so, or anyway. So I worked with her for 18, 19 years. Let's see, the other person that's been here the longest is Dr. Latassi. Dr. Latassi taught pharmacy over at OU to the PA students. She's one of the best teachers I've ever met, I've ever listened to. I love listening to her. She scares the bejesus out of me, but I love listening to her. She's a great teacher. Her handouts are amazing, comprehensive. Keep them in a binder, and that is your, for the rest of your life, you will use that binder. Okay? I admire her so much as a professor and as a person, as a teacher, just unbelievable. But she scares the life. You know, Amber says, well, you can tell Dr. Latassi that. So, she's the next longest tenured here. Let's see, Professor Reggio, she was a student of mine. I've known her since those days. She has a lot of experience in surgery and emergency medicine. When I was looking for a faculty member, I wanted to get her on board. She does the business courses because she's run her own business. She and her ex-husband own their own practice. He's a PA too. And so she's the perfect person to do those courses. She knows a lot about billing, coding, and things like that. Professor Lubbock-Twa. I had a faculty member quit one day at 4 o'clock. On the way home, I went by Lubbock-Twa's house. I called her on the way home. I said, Susan, do you mind if I stop in for a minute? She lives right over here, just a couple of blocks. I pulled in there, and I said, Susan, she had just given a lecture in pediatrics to the students, and she made the comment to one of the faculty members that she'd eventually like to get into education. And not 2 weeks later, I was knocking on the door saying, hey, I got a proposition for you. And her husband was there, and he answered yes, and so she came on board. She's done pediatrics for a long time, and she goes down to Duncan once a month at least and covers the Duncan ER. So she has a lot of ER experience. Professor Brooks, I've known for a long time. She also expressed an interest when she came over here to lecture, and she's her background is in ORL primarily, and so she does the ENT course, and she's a good person. She also handles the standardized patients, and she does a good job with Monica doing that. Professor Rourke is just hired on not too long ago. I played softball when she was in school. We got a co-ed softball team together, and she is an amazing third baseman. She and Jamie Sanford, who's another PA, who's going to lecture you guys. Anybody know Jamie Sanford? She's orthopedic PA. It was funny that our co-ed team, the infield, they were all women. The guys, we played catcher, and we were the outfield and stuff. The women played all the hot places, and you did not get a ball past Sally Rourke. And that she does not throw like a girl. She will knock you off the first base. Very competitive. Almost got us into I don't know how many fights. I played softball with her and her husband and some other people for 10 years. So, and then I found out she was interested, and I called her and couldn't believe it. She came on board. So amazing. Monica Seuss, now Rose, joined us last March. We had a staff opening, and she'll if you go in there and say, can I have your shoes? She will give you her shoes. She's that kind of just an amazing person. We have another person starting on Tuesday, Amber Johnson, who's going to be working with Susan Lubbock-Twa and Amy Hughes in the clinical year. Amy Hughes was at Saint Dermatology. She and I worked together, like she mentioned, during orientation back in the 90s over at OU. She left to go into private practice dermatology, where she was making like 10 times more. And just recently, she expressed an interest in coming back into education because they're so rich now. So she can afford a huge cutting pay. So she came back over here, and of course, she's a great person to have because of dermatology and primary care also. Lastly, Mark Britton. Oh my gosh. Mark Britton was the Associate Dean of the College of Pharmacy over at OU. He was the number 2 guy in the College of Pharmacy over there. I never, ever thought I would get him over here. He is an amazing person in terms of organization, assessment, and all sorts of things. And he's a great pharmacist along with Dr. Latassi. And their knowledge is so deep when it comes to these complicated patients you're going to be seeing at Good Shepherd, and being able to wade through all of their insulin and pharmacy needs. It's an amazing thing. Interestingly, Dr. Latassi and Dr. Britton are married.
He told us for sure. He said, don't brag about her to me.
I couldn't freaking believe it. Are you kidding me? And to hear those two go after each other, it is the funniest thing.
They were today.
They got after each other. Oh man, they continued it upstairs at lunch. Yeah, it was so funny. Yeah, he took part of her time.
Yeah.
That's one thing you don't
ran
do.
20 minutes over into my time.
That's one thing you don't do. She
Slams her book.
still gripes at me because in 1996, I went over 5 minutes on a lecture, and she was just like, and so she's never let me forget that. So, but she's not mean to you guys. Don't get me wrong. So that's how we all came to be here. So I don't think we're going to be adding any more faculty or any more staff other than Amber Johnson next week. During your tenure here. But like I said, it's hard to keep people in education because the lure of private practice is out there. And you're going to walk out of, I was looking for a faculty member here one time, and I called this guy up. He's going to come and lecture to you several times. I said, hey, I got a faculty position open. You interested? He said, Dan, I make over $200,000 a year. You can't afford me. And he was right. But it was worth a try. So it's hard to, it's hard to keep faculty members. So, there's always some fluidity. So, but hopefully with these guys, we'll keep them for a while. They're a good bunch. They really want to, they'll put in the extra time to spend it. Any other thing I can answer for you before Monday? All right.
So wait, we need to read that thing over the nervous system, the 9 pages?
Yeah, have you looked at it yet? It's on the URL. It's little type, it's scrunched together.
Do we also read the primer or just the?
Yeah, I would read that too.
Read the what?
You're not going to be tested over those things. That autonomic nervous, when I start talking about the autonomic nervous system and these pathways on Monday, it's easy for you to get lost. So if you've read that thing a couple of times, even if you don't understand it, just going through it, there are pictures on there. If you read the paragraph and follow on the picture, then you'll be ahead of the game on Monday. Okay? All right, I'll see you then.
We have to,
I'm studying.
Want to begin to prepare? Get right
Yes.